Hi, I'm Roger and welcome to the shop. And today I've got another little project going on. Actually, it's not really a little project. It's kind of major. I have a landscape trailer with a bed on it. It's 5 foot by 8 foot, and it was covered with expanded metal mesh. And that expanded metal mesh doesn't exactly hold the weight very well. And if you get a concentrated amount of weight in one spot, put one of the lawn tractors on there this past week, and it kind of pushed the mesh down. So I'm going to put a wood deck on it, and I'll kind of go through on how I do this. Of course, it's a very balmy 92 degrees here in the Midwest today with plenty of humidity. So it'll be a pleasant project, I'm sure. So we'll take you outside here. I'll show you what we got. Okay, this is the landscape trailer that I'm going to be working on. As you can see, it's covered with this expanded metal mesh. And we've had it started to come loose from the back here. Yeah, I could yank that back up and weld it back on, but that is not really a good solution. I'll leave the ramp as it is. I'll leave that expanded metal. We haven't had any problem with that. The problem is when you're transporting something heavy, like right here, you can see it's pushed the mesh all the way down and broke it off from the frame. So what I'm going to be doing is I'll grind off all the welds and make this just the angle iron frame. And over here, and you'll see a lot of trash on the ground. We had a big storm last night. So there's leaves and branches everywhere. But I went and picked up a load of treated 2x6s. And if you've tried to buy any treated wood, at least here in the Midwest lately, it's hard to come by. But Menards down there got a new shipment in, so I was right down there to get it. This is the trailer overall. So the first thing I need to do is get going and do some grinding. Okay, slight change of plans here. I was going to take this expanded metal off completely, but found out that that is just a bear of a job. I cut out this part right here in the corner and got that one ground out and cut out because it was all pushed down, it was almost hitting the ground. So I think that's the only part I am going to cut out. This turned out to be a real bear, and a tip of the day, don't buy cutoff wheels from Harbor Freight. After the first two, I just trashed them and went back to my better ones. But, well, let's get some boards laid out here now and get this figured out. Since this is 5 foot wide and the boards are 5.5 inches wide, I'm going to start in the center and work both ways because there's going to have to be a rip on the two outside ones. Otherwise, I'll end up with some odd little skinny piece on one side, and I don't want that. But time to get some wood out, get the miter saw out. I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle on one end so that I don't have a hump down there per se when you go to drive on. And I'm also seeing that on the ramp itself, I may do a little work here. Maybe I'll weld that. See right there that the mesh is starting to come down off of the iron. So may need to weld that back on, or maybe put a wood top on this. We'll see. Okay, something I wasn't thinking of after I cut this first board and started to walk up the back of the trailer is the teeter-totter effect. Since the front wasn't hitched to anything, it immediately flipped up in the air, and if the camera would have been running, it would have been very entertaining for everybody. But here's what I did. I put some jack stands under. No, those aren't the Harbor Freight ones. I've had those for years. And raised the tongue jack all the way up because since I'm not taking the mesh off, in order to put the nuts on these galvanized carriage bolts I'll be putting through here, I'm going to have to crawl like a reptile underneath this thing to put the nuts and washers on and tighten them up. This is, give you an idea here, I cut a 45-degree bevel on the end here, so it's not going to be quite so much of a hump as you try to drive up on here or push something up on here, as the case may be. And as I said, I'm starting in the center here. This is just kind of laying, I haven't measured it yet. The idea here is for every one of these cross angles all the way up, be putting in 2 carriage bolts in each board, and that's about 120 holes to drill. So I won't be using the cordless, I'll get the electric out here. That's a lot of holes. So I'll get this thing centered up and we'll get a few of them mounted, and we'll come back and see how it's looking. I got the first board on, and my original plan was to just put them in the 2 ends and then go back and strike a line across to do the rest of the cross pieces. But if you work with treated wood, and I should have known this, it's not always exactly straight. So hence the clamps on here. So I'll have to go down and drill all these and bolt them all down one at a time, which means a lot of trips. back and forth on this little guy here, yellow creeper, and shouldn't leave a black creeper laying in the sun when it's over 90 degrees, but we'll kick that back in the shade. Of course, if I screw around out here long enough, I'll have this whole thing in the shade another couple hours. A little bit of an update there, and another little shop hint there. These are actually ice cream containers, and I'm an ice cream lover, and I save these, and they're nice for putting hardware in while you're working on something. Just a little tip, maybe you want to do something like that yourself. It costs absolutely nothing. Okay, we'll be back here when we get more of these boards on. So what have I discovered here 6 hours into this, and some fun in the sun, although I did finally get to come down here in the shade. I got most of the all the center boards on. I still have to cut the two outside ones, which are not square. And I found this out as I was laying these boards out on here, that the trailer is a 1/2 inch out of square, the entire frame of it. Which then led me to start measuring axles. Fortunately, those are on straight, so that we'll track straight. But kind of gave me a little bit of a fit. The other discovery I made was that when I measured this originally, it was just a quick measurement with a tape measure. So it was 8 foot long. It's actually 8 foot 3/4 inch long. And if you've ever bought treated wood, you know that it's not always exactly what it says it is. So I was hoping I'd get enough overage, but I didn't. So I did the cheating part up here on the front. So, well, not building the space shuttle anyway, so this will work. Had to get creative with some of the clamps here to, yeah, if you work with treated wood, you know it's not straight, and you're not going to find straight. If you do, by the time you get it home and it sits out in the sun for a couple hours, it won't be straight anymore. At any rate, the other discovery I made was that I can't count, and I don't have enough bolts to finish this, so I'm going to have to go to the store tomorrow and get some more carriage bolts so I can put my other two outside pieces in. So we'll come back to this after I get some more hardware. Okay, well, I've been to the store and got the hardware, the bolts that I miscounted on, and plus a few extras. There's some tie-down straps and a bunch of other little accessories. Got all the boards on the center now. I've got to do the two outside ones. Like I said, the trailer was not exactly square. The frame of it was not square. So therefore, I'm not going to bother trying to cut a 1/4 inch taper down the length of 8 foot just to make it fit tight to the frame when it's going to shrink anyway. This wood's pretty wet. So I got to cut this down to 4 1/4, and then we'll get that bolted in. I really hate ripping this wet stuff, but this will do it. Well, get this thing mounted. Now, you may not be able to see it there on the camera, but there's a conduit that runs right along here that has the wiring in it, and I have to figure out how to get this underneath that. I don't know if I can slide it underneath it or not. I am going to have to actually cut a bevel down that length to get past that conduit. It rolls down over enough that it's not going to allow the wood to go by it. Either that or I need to rip it narrower. Guess I could do that too. That'd be easier than cutting a chamfer. Well, back to the table saw. Okay, time to try this round 2 here. Smart person probably would have measured that first, but I just kind of guessed and took a 1/4 inch off. We'll see here. Aha. Now with a little persuasion, I think we can get it in there. Or not. Oh, still gonna have to take a hair more off. Or try to beat it in there with a hammer. I gotta get it back out. Okay, 3rd time's the charm, as they say. Try it now. Took another 1/4 inch off. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll make it fancier and cut a bevel on that anyway and make it look uniform. And then I'll cut one for the other side, except I'm going to measure that one first. Hey, did I happen to mention it was hot out here? It's like 90 again today. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I love it. Finer than frog here. Get this bolted down. Okay, got the deck all on it, both sides, and now I'm going to do something completely unnecessary up here at the front because of the random lengths of the wood, and this being 8 foot 3/4 inch. We got this little uneven gap up here. So I took one of the cutoffs from ripping down the side of the wood here and cut a strip 5 foot across. And I could just screw that on there and cover that up, but let's put a bevel on it first. Completely unnecessary, but we'll just jazz it up a little bit here. There we go, and that covers up all them uneven gaps. Well, looks much better than it did before with that saggy expanded metal in there, and I'm taking a minute to a little bit of adult refreshment here. I got a couple things left I want to do to this. Got some hold down rings I want to put down along the sides, which I'll do here shortly. Nothing to that, 4 bolts and around there gives you a good place to hook your ratchet straps to. Right now there's little pockets on the sides of the trailer, but you really have to wrap the strap around the frame, and it'll fray the straps over time, so I don't like using those, hence the rings. The other thing is I need to do a little work on that back gate. I'm not going to put wood on it because that would become a wind drag when it's folded up. I am going to weld the expanded metal back against the gate and maybe add another piece of angle iron for some reinforcement. Problem is my welder is in front of my forklift and my forklift doesn't run, so I can't get the welder out. Maybe that'd be a good excuse to go buy a new MIG welder. Bet the wife would have something to say about that. At any rate, this was the trailer decking rebuild, I guess you could call it. And if you enjoyed it and got something out of it, we of course appreciate getting the thumbs up. And we're always looking for subscribers. And if you hit that bell next to the subscribe button, you'll be notified when we post another video. And until then, thanks for watching.